Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner football fans podcast. You got Terry and Rob here. Boomer up.
Boomer Terry.
And coming off of a big win on Saturday against the TCU Horned Frogs. Is that their name? Horned Frogs?
Horned Frogs.
Horned Frogs or Horny Toads.
The frogs with horns.
The frogs with horns. Anyway, Oklahoma thumps the Horned Frogs of Texas Christian 52-27. And a game that was a little bit hairy at the beginning, don't you think?
Well,
in the first half.
I don't know if they got some lucky breaks and we had some unfortunate mistakes. Otherwise, I think it gets ugly quickly in the first, but I mean, that's why we play the game, right?
Yep. Not only did it get ugly, I'm pretty sure Texas Christian hired every referee from the University of Texas to, or that could, it was terrible calls in the first half.
Well, okay, I understand that you think that, and I do too to some degree. But did you see how he was waiting for us to get into a set, and then based on the set and the down and the yardage, he knew approximately what play we were going to run. And for a while, I think he was in Lincoln's pocket.
He was in Lincoln's pocket that second quarter.
So, because they were in the right set, the defensive set for the offensive play that was coming out. I mean, we still move the ball and stuff on them. Now, they did have some success on us, but honestly, I think they did their homework really, really well, and we had to get out of our game plan.
A little bit there in the second half.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, we scored 14 in the first, 14 in the second, 10 in the third, and 14 in the fourth, which all that adds up to 52. And I'm with you when they put the backup quarterback. What was his name?
Collins.
Was it Collins?
Yeah.
They put Collins in there, changed up a little bit, and got well, let's see. We had 2 dropped interceptions. The Buki dropped interception was a 21-point turnaround because he does that. He catches that when it goes to the house.
Oh yeah,
it's done. Who missed the first one?
Since he didn't, that very next play was a touchdown.
Yeah, very next play was a touchdown. We go 3 and out. The very next play was they come back in and get another touchdown. All of a sudden, it's 28-24 going into halftime when it should have been really 35-7
or whatever that. Yeah.
Because that changed the first half, and I'm with you. I really do. He I think got in Lincoln's hip pocket there in the second quarter, the last part of that second quarter when they pulled within. But then as Lincoln does with anybody, got him out of his hip pocket.
Yeah, he made adjustments. He made adjustments. I think he's seen pretty quickly. You know what? They're kind of on to us here. We got to make some changes. And you know what? Even defensively, they kind of seen that. I mean, I don't know if they were necessarily in our defensive mindset, but they ran plays like that tunnel screen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, perfect timing.
Right.
Perfect timing because we had pulled the safety for whatever reason. And, I mean, the coverage was there on it. The guy was there. They just had more blockers out there than we had, defenders. So they ran it at the perfect time, and they ran it perfectly.
Right.
I mean, he caught it, and our guy was on him, but,
Yeah.
And the same with that deep pass. He had one-on-one.
Yeah.
And, it was kind of a 50-50 deal. It wasn't like he was just running wide open back there. I mean, the defense was there, or I thought he was.
Right. Well, and the defense was there on that little screen too, but that's one of the things we talked about in with the during the game, the refereeing, their defensive line was, when he caught that ball, I think it was number 52 was hitting our safety.
He was 12 yards downfield, and that's the best I can.
Yeah. But,
12 yards, and when they called it on us, we were 4.
Yeah.
4 yards.
And he wasn't even doing anything. He was just kind of.
I know, he was just kind of standing there.
Yeah, just kind of, trotting, wasn't affecting the play at all. Mm-mm. But anyway, before let's jump into the offense first. Crazy net rushing yards, 323 rushing yards.
323, and that's without Rodney Anderson.
Yeah. I know. And, we're spread out, going to throw it all over the yard offense.
Mm-hmm.
Are you kidding me? I mean, this is – and it's something about TCU's defense that Lincoln has figured out, I think, because we did it last year to them. We are able to run the ball pretty much at will on TCU. Have you not?
No, I have, and he gets them tuckered out, and we just start dominating that defensive line. And the touchdown that Sermon ran, I mean, they were trying to close the hole up, but our lineman pushed it down, just squashed that whole thing, and he just ran around it. I mean, it was wide open.
We had 47 rushing attempts, as opposed to 19 passing attempt, or 25 passing
I
attempts.
was gonna say that can't be right.
Yeah,
26 counting sermons.
Yeah,
or not sermons, CeeDee Lamb.
CeeDee
right?
Lambs. Yeah, 6.9 yards per rush. Yards gained 338. Yards lost rushing 15. So we only had 15 yards of negative, and that includes a sack. So.
So if you can run it at 7 yards of whack, I mean you got to do that, don't you?
Yeah.
But you know what? If we weren't passing just enough to keep them honest, they would start shutting that down.
Yeah.
But I mean we can pretty much do what we want on defenses.
Yeah.
Or so it seems so far.
19 to 25 passing. That's a pretty good average.
So did he help or hurt his Heisman?
I don't know. I mean, I want to talk about that a little bit later,
okay.
Because it's average per attempt, average pass per attempt 8.5, average per completion 11.2, 4 touchdowns. Total offense 536 yards. Let's look at individual.
So how do you feel like, I mean, statistically speaking, that's the best defense in the Big 12?
Yep. I think it's the best defense in the Big 12.
You do think they're the best? You think they're better than Iowa State?
Maybe not now, but I think overall, I think they're better.
Huh.
Because they just do everything right.
They do everything. They're. I mean, we didn't just blow them around. I mean, we executed. I felt like we did.
Yeah.
Of course, Kyler's tremendous talent. And when you're devoting a spy on him, because if he takes off, he's always good for 10 or 12, 15, whatever.
Yeah.
So if you got somebody that's devoted spying on him, they're not on they're not back in coverage. We're going to find some spots.
Yeah.
I mean, it just makes sense for Lincoln to go, okay, you're going to spy us with this guy, so that means he's just standing there doing whatever Kyler's doing.
Right.
Somebody somewhere in that zone is going to be open. So, and he just picked them.
Kennedy Brooks. Crazy.
Yeah. Did you see any of the replay?
Oh, yeah. I watched.
I mean, he does not look fast at all.
I know. We were talking about during the game. It's like, I don't know what. Maybe it's because we're used to seeing Kyler run and everybody.
Yeah, when you look at Kyler and Marquise, everybody else does look slow. But for a back, I mean, he really just looks slow back there. But 160 yards.
168 yards, 9.3 yards per carry. So whatever it is,
it's working.
It works for that guy.
It reminds me a little bit of Emmitt Smith.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like I think the biggest difference between him and Trey Sermon is Trey Sermon has kind of gotten that stutter step in the backfield, kind of waiting on the hole or looking at the hole, and Brooks just goes to wherever the opening is. There's no. It's like if he's going to the left and the hole opens up to the right, he just kind of glides that way to where I think Sermon kind of stops there and does that kind of a stutter step, kind of waits for the hole to go, and Kennedy just doesn't do that. But he still had
effortless.
Sermon had 110 yards rushing. Kyler Murray had 51. Sermon 6.5 yards per carry. Kyler 5.7. That's ridiculous.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you look at, you got one back averaging a first down every time he touches the ball, basically 9.3 yards per carry. A running back that's averaging, almost 7 yards a carry. Mm-hmm. And then your quarterback, which, let's face it, most of his runs are scrambles. Mm-hmm. But he doesn't scramble unless he has to, which is something I think is key. He's not. We were all worried about it. We've talked about it before. He is so calm back there, and he goes through his progressions, and then if it's not there, he goes. And if I did like what the announcer said one time, where the defense, I don't know if it was on a sack or it was an incompletion, but he went through his progressions and they didn't allow him to get outside. They contained him. And they said, if you can do that, because when Kyler gets dangerous is when he gets outside of the tackles to run the ball or throw it. And those visual spaces get harder when for him, because he's short, harder when you stay contained in front of him. You know what I mean? They made that. That was a great point, that when you keep him contained in there, don't let him get on the outside, it's harder for him to complete a pass. But then we get into our receivers. Lamb had 5 catches for 91 yards. Brown 5 for 41 yards. Calcaterra had 3 for 20. Lee Morris, 2 touchdowns. 2 catches, 2 touchdowns. That's all the guy does. We were saying it. All Lee Morris does is catch touchdown passes.
My gosh.
I think he's only caught 3 that haven't been a touchdown. I think he's had 11 catches this year.
It's pretty impressive, no doubt about that.
Carson Meyer had 2 for 17 with 1 touchdown, and Kennedy Brooks had 2 for 8. So
I like Carson Meyer coming out of the backfield catching the ball.
Yeah,
it's a little bit like the way we used Trey Flowers and what was the other guy, Millard or whatever. So it's pretty good, and he's a great big old kid too.
Yeah, 6'5". Jeez.
Yeah, and I don't know. Looks like he can run a little bit.
Yeah, but overall, I don't know, Rob. I still sit back here and I watched. Did you watch a bunch of games yesterday?
Uh-huh.
Okay, I still don't see any defense that if this offense is on point, can really keep them from scoring points. And I really don't think anybody else in the country thinks they can too. I watched Michigan. Michigan's got a, stout defense and stuff, but I sit here and just go, Lincoln, you give him a couple of weeks, or, because we'd play him in a bowl game or whatever, give him the time to sit there and analyze that stuff. I just think it's and I'm including Alabama in that, and it is this offense, and Lincoln Riley is so keen on adjustments throughout the game and on the fly, and it's just almost unstoppable.
Yeah, I would agree. I think that, they could slow us down if they can whip our O-line. They can really slow us down. That's easier said than done, because our
O-line's bad.
It's pretty bad.
Bad in the good way.
Yeah. Well, I just mean, to some extent early in the game, defensive lines hang with them until we start wearing them out.
Right.
And then we start opening holes.
Right.
I don't know that we necessarily do that against an Alabama or Clemson or somebody like that. But there's other ways of getting that done. So, I certainly don't. I'd rather somebody beat Alabama before we get there.
And not have to worry about it.
Not have to worry about it. But, last year I and you, both of us, said if we'd have got Alabama, we'd have ran that. We'd have give them a good thumping.
Yeah.
I think it's the opposite this year. This year I don't want no part of
you
them.
Don't
they just look so. In fact, the Heisman race, it's over outside of the two.
Tua, it's done.
Tua and Kyler are by far the best players in the nation. And honestly, if Alabama keeps winning,
It's Tua's. I mean, as much as, and honestly, I'm fine. Give it to Tua if we play him.
So we can win.
So we let him have the Heisman.
But he looks really good. I'm not kidding you. That kid can play.
Yeah. And, I mean, that whole team, but they still really haven't played anybody. They haven't played a top 25 team yet, have they?
Well, no, and they're going to play they got a week off. They play LSU, and then after that they got the Citadel.
Yeah.
Why would Alabama schedule the Citadel?
Because that's their end of the season off week.
They should let their softball girls come out and play the game for them because they'll still win it. I mean, ridiculous.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so LSU's got – it really is in the SEC probably the only chance to beat them. And their best defender or one of their best defenders is not going to play the first half.
Yeah.
So I don't think anybody's shutting that offense down anyway. But
yeah. Well, like I said, we need Alabama to win out, because if they win out, they knock LSU and Georgia out of the picture. You know what I mean?
I hear you talking, but I just don't know. They want 2 SEC teams in there.
Yeah.
I mean, they do. I seen a mock-up this morning with Joy Galloway and that other white dude, and they had both Alabama and LSU on the board. I'm like, listen, they play next week.
Right.
How can they both be up there?
Right.
But
they can't, they will not, cannot, and they're not going to put a 2-loss team ahead of any 1-loss team in the country. They're just not going to do it. And I don't care if it's the SEC or whatever, they can't do it. They can't move that precedent out of, hey, it's 1-loss teams and da-da-da-da. We have when you start bumping a 2-loss Georgia in front of Oklahoma, a 2-loss Georgia or 2-loss LSU in front of Texas, that's, or 2-loss, Georgia in front of a Michigan. You can't do that. You can't set that precedence and say, well, we're just going to say that they're the best conference. So if they do that, just throw away, I don't
know, man.
Key.
Our strength of schedule is so bad because, the teams that we've beaten have not, UCLA's got 2 wins.
Right. Army's doing pretty good.
Florida Atlantic is just getting thumped around. Yeah, Army's doing all right.
Iowa State's turned the corner. Iowa State beat up on West Virginia. So, but before we start getting into all that, because that's a big discussion that we want to have here at the end of this, defense. Let's just, first off, we held them at 112 rushing yards, 163 passing yards. Now, TCU's offense has only scored 14, and 17 in their last 2 games. They scored 20. What they have? They had the kickoff return, right? So that's 1 touchdown. So they scored, 2 touchdowns. The offense scored 2 touchdowns and 2 field goals. So that's 20 points. So we held them to about what everybody else had. Man, that was like hard math in my head all of a sudden.
You had to go to the toes on that one?
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, I'm stuck here. But we that's about what they did. The Pokemon, whatever that is, celebration really gave them that kickoff return. Which was terrible coverage, but normally Seibert kicks that thing out and you throw that play out.
So let's talk about this. If we get both of those interceptions, which I don't know why we didn't, all I can think is they were like, oh my God, I'm going to get an interception, and just drop the ball, whatever.
Yeah,
that's 14 points plus that kick. That's 21 points. So, I mean, theoretically, we could have held them to 7 points.
Right. Should have. I mean, the first interception, I can't remember who it was back deep and just missed it. Buki's is a touchdown. Okay. And
for sure.
I mean, there was nothing between anything. So, you take a point off the board. And like you said, you take 14 points off the board. Just simple. And again, I'm going to fall back on this. It might make people mad, but it's simple execution of, that first interception. I loved what you said. You can repeat it. Do you remember what you said?
I doubt it. Not if I said it in the. Oh well, yeah, I would have said him. Yeah. Right? Oh yeah. His rear end been on the bench.
Right.
You catch that ball.
Yeah. I mean, there's no reason he's all by himself. Buki's the guy kind of pulled him a little bit. I get that, but still.
No, you come down with that one.
You come down. If you don't score a touchdown with it, you come down with it. But again, those are fundamental things in the defensive backfield that we haven't done well. And we finally did get one in the fourth quarter. But the defense, we put out a Twitter poll this morning, and it actually just finished. Holy cow, we got a whole bunch of more.
Bunch of votes or comments?
A whole bunch of votes and some more comments. But what we'll do is, because I want to read some of the comments and run through not just the votes, but some of the comments. And so we're going to share the poll if we can ever get Twitter to start running faster than molasses right here. Okay. Anyway, what we did was we asked Sooner fans like us to give the defense a grade. Just like we were in school, and we didn't have, they don't have an F because we couldn't. They only give you 4 options, so it was A, B, C.
Surely
or D.
no one graded them down to the F.
But and this is a pretty good poll because we had 2,243 votes, so that's a pretty good poll.
How many?
2,243 votes.
Man.
Yeah, that's a lot, and we appreciate that because that kind of gives us something to go off of. And then we said, comments welcome. So let's look at some of the, first off, the fans, there was 4% gave them an A, okay, and you 4% need to put the crack pipe down, okay?
Now, come on now. It depends on how they're looking at it. If they're looking at it as overall improvement, I think they're close.
Well, we didn't say overall improvement.
Well,
okay.
I mean, you didn't say.
I said grade the Sooner defensive performance.
Right.
Okay. 64% said a B. 30.
I'm in the 64, by the way.
30% said a C, and 2% said a D. And that 2% needs to, put the heroin pipe down.
They're still mad, aren't they?
Yeah, they're still mad.
Still upset. There's some TCU fans sneaking in there, or O State fans sneaking in there for that.
Yeah. But let's read some of it because there's some really good comments. We got a bunch of comments on it, and that's what we are. We're the fan podcast. So let's see what the fans had to say about it. Let's see. Catherine Elizabeth on Twitter. Do you have it pulled up there, Rob?
I do.
Okay. She says, still gave up 28 points. Wish they would get more aggressive, but don't deliberately hurt someone. Get mean. This is football.
Kind of an oxymoron right there.
Yeah.
Get mean, but don't hurt nobody.
Yeah, don't hurt nobody. Defense didn't give up 28 points. They gave up 20 points.
Right.
So, and
one of those was on a pretty short drive.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is, but.
Yeah, and excuse us, Lincoln Riley, stop it with the squib kicks.
I don't know what's going on right there. We're all just looking at each other with
they were all,
what are we doing here?
That was an onside kick, but that gave me a heart attack. So, Trip on Twitter put D only gave up 20, and one of those two TDs came out of 33-yard drive. Rob, are you reading ahead? Okay.
No, I just remember. We gave him short field there several times.
Sooner fan Jeff for life on Twitter. The good. They didn't look lost or confused. No timeouts on defense. That's a great point. Flew to the ball. Tackling was better. The bad missed 2 interceptions. allowed 2 TDs in 3 minutes. Overall, it was what I was looking for. Have to keep getting better every week. And our good buddy Bill, the New Jersey Sooner, said baby steps, baby steps.
So you think that's a good thing that we didn't call a timeout?
Yeah, because I think the times we called the timeout was because of confusion.
Well, I agree, but to some extent, I think you got to look at your guys and, well, I guess if they don't ever need, a little breather or anything, you don't do it. But I don't know. I mean, you get 3. I'm thinking you could use them, strategically and make things better, but maybe not.
Yeah. The real C Long, Christopher Long, C+ to a B. I'm on the fence. They did a lot of nice things, but still have a lot of room, or still have a little room for improvement, or little room for still room for improvement. Good Lord. You want to do the next one, Rob? We for OU.
So he says TCU's offense is train wreck, which
yeah.
he's not wrong. So I'll hold out the comments that our defense is back, but it was more improved, which is all we've been asking, really.
Yeah.
He says, still not sure why Motley was starting against their number 1 wide receiver, because Motley has gotten torn up against the number 1 guy several times. So I certainly understand what he's talking about.
Yeah. Let's see. Brad Johnson, he always goes above and beyond. One of the Boomer boys that was here. He just gives us his overall team this team score. Brad, we only ask for defense, but we'll read your defense: B-, special teams D+, offense A-.
How do you feel about that?
Yeah.
Where did you hit him?
What the
defense A, B, C, D?
C+, B-, somewhere in there. I think 2 missed interceptions.
Yep.
It was huge. Or they'd be a solid B to me.
So how do they get up into the A range?
How do they get up? Okay, if they do this to Texas Tech, that's an A. If we put out these numbers against Texas Tech, or even to Kansas State, even though I think Kansas, like some of these folks have said, it's TCU's offense has been terrible. We should have held them to 20.
No, you're right. But what we're looking at, or what I think I'm looking at, and a lot of these fans I think are the same, is were they in the right spots? Where are those gaps filled? Where are the receivers covered?
Right.
And I feel like they just did a great job of that. In fact, BTCU Campbell says would have been an A if they catch those 2 picks that they dropped. So I think, he's probably
that's kind of
I was.
That's kind of the same. I'm more. Mine is the 2 missed interceptions, and we got 2 sacks. That's where I'm kind of on the fence with it.
Sure, no,
little more. If we'd have come out with 4 sacks and 3 interceptions, it's an A. Because it's a completely different score.
Yeah,
but
I guess my optimism comes from, we have taken a backup quarterback and made him look like an all-pro.
Yeah.
So I think, I think TCU did themselves a favor putting their backup in.
Yeah.
Because he looked 100 times better than the starter.
Yeah.
So yeah, they're having some trouble offensively. TCU is, but we didn't make that backup look like an all-pro. In fact, we should have picked him a couple times, which really would have destroyed his confidence.
All I know is Collins, their backup QB that came in. All props and respect to him. He is a man, because the way his hand was cut and slivered. I don't know if everybody else out there was cringing the way, me, Rob, and Caleb, and Teresa were watching that. That was the palm of his hand flopping.
Yeah.
I'm
sure it hurt pretty bad.
And it was on his throwing hand.
I put the starter back in because it was obviously affecting him.
They showed it over there. They medicine it up, glued it back together, and put on a clear bandage and put him back out there. But I mean, that was nasty looking, and all props to him for
sticking it out.
But because I don't think they could have pulled him. I mean, they'd have probably tried, and he was like, "No, I'm good."
Probably. I mean, anytime you hit the field, you don't ever want to come back off because you might not get back on.
Yeah. And let's look at some
defensive stats.
Well, first let's read a few more of these. Okay. Adrian, she got a B-, graded with a curve from a C+ because I feel like the class was ready for the quiz. Okay. Would have been an A if we'd have got those 2 picks. That was from beat TCU Campbell.
I like what this guy said. He said, I don't think we quite jumped to a B, so obviously he's giving him a C. But the improvement was easy to see in fundamentals such as knowing how to line up and tackling. Start solidifying those things, and this team will be unstoppable. C for now. Which, I'm not going to get, I'm not going to hate on anybody for giving them a C. I just think they played better than that.
Yeah.
I just think they were in the right spots, the right times. They tackled well. They hit, okay. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more pressure on the quarterback.
Yeah.
But they were smart enough to get rid of it quickly. So, I mean, sometimes you just can't. So, I mean, I understand some of those people giving the C. But in my opinion, I think there was a full B.
Taylor Hickman said high C, much improved. Didn't pressure the quarterback enough. Secondary was caught out of position sometimes. Covered much better. Not perfect, but it's a great start. Now, let's get into that a little bit, Rob. Let's go ahead and let's talk about the defensive stats.
Okay.
We were talking on Saturday. I just went blank again. The guy from you and I talked about it on game day, not Herb Street. The guy from Georgia,
David Pollock.
I'm starting to like David Pollock. I like him and Herb Street because
I like them all.
Because they give Oklahoma what I think is proper respect. You know what I mean? And when they got into the Oklahoma versus TCU game, and Pollock stepped up, and he said it last year at the Rose Bowl. This Oklahoma offense is phenomenal. They're going to get theirs against anybody they play.
That's right.
And whether or not firing Mike Stoops was the right thing or anything else, he even said it. Herbie said it. He ain't out there. Mike Stoops wasn't out there getting out of position. He wasn't out there not making the tackles. Mm-hmm. But it's coaching, and it falls on somebody.
Yep.
But as fans of Oklahoma, he said the fans of Oklahoma got to be upset because they've had a championship offense. They've wasted a championship offense 2 out of the last 3 years. I about fell out of my chair.
Yep.
I was like, that sums it up
yeah.
right there because of bad defense.
Bad defense has definitely been
right.
Yeah, I would agree with the assessment.
And he's right. I mean, man, you've got last year you've got the most dynamic player in college football that some people will say in the history of college football. And
let me stop you right there. Kyler's gonna blow all of his records out of the water. I mean,
and probably won't win the Heisman.
Probably won't.
And unless something crazy happens, but defensively, here's what we've said. Okay, and this team did it this week. Is we've said back right after the Army game. If we get 5 stops, if we hold teams under 28 points, we win games, period. Okay?
Yeah.
This team did that. We got 2 7-and-outs at the very beginning of the game.
2 7-and-outs.
When has this defense in the first quarter this year got off the field in 7 plays on the first drive? They haven't.
They
have not. Nope. Okay? So they got 2 stops immediately. The kickoff return, that was a fluke, but it's part of the game. But still, you basically gave your offense a 14-point head start by getting those stops because they're going to score.
They're going to score, yeah.
And they did score. So, and, we kind of got some flack, but I think people are starting to understand what we're saying when we put it out on Twitter is if we do that, if we get 5 stops per game, minimum 5 stops per game, we hold teams to 28 points. People are like, well, that I'd rather have an elite defense and da-da-da-da. I'm like, that will make you an elite defense.
Well, I mean, yeah, I would
with
like
this
an elite
offense.
defense. I would also like $1 million.
Yeah.
But since we do have an elite offense,
right.
I mean,
you don't have to have the elite defense.
Well, we're Sooner fans, so we want it.
Yeah, but point being is that if this is, and we've said it all along, and I think most people agree, is if we have a 40th ranked defense, we're going to win a championship. If we can just hold people 14 points behind this offense, that's all you got to do, because I still don't, there's not anybody going to stop this offense. But
well, if anybody does, it's going to be somebody like, Alabama or Clemson. I don't see anybody else stopping it, really.
But as far as stats, I mean, TCU only had 12 first downs, 112 yards rushing. Let's see, 163 yards passing. They were 10 of 25. 10 of 25. That's just terrible.
That is bad.
That's horrible. Total offensive yards, 275. I haven't gone back and looked at the stats, but I do believe that's the least amount we've allowed all year.
Probably is. Albeit that offense is not very good.
Right.
But at least we're not sitting here going, well, we made that quarterback look like an all-pro, and they had 350 yards passing against us and 150 yards rushing against us.
Right. And I think we did what we needed to do. This team did what they needed to do with a 52-27 win. It made a statement instead of a 52-45 win, which would not have made a statement, because I guarantee you all those guys on ESPN and everybody else would have said, well, this is the same thing. Oklahoma hasn't, they just outscored them.
Yeah. This
was a beatdown that we thumped.
Yeah, we handled them pretty decisively, I think. They just need we just got some things that we get them ironed out. We just get that much better.
Right.
And if we're going to compete in the playoff, if we make it, we're going to need that.
Right.
We're going to need it.
Yep.
And I think we can win.
Yeah.
So
we only gave up 3 points in the second half. Okay, so in essence, a shutout. I mean, it was just a dominant game in the second half, which was very similar to last year's first meeting with TCU. I mean, it was close at halftime, and we just pulled away. And then in the second one, in the Big 12 championship, it was the opposite. We ran it up in the first half and then kind of floated through the rest of the game. But it was just a thumping. I mean, no ifs, ands, or buts.
Yeah, and Sooner Nation had to feel comfortable. I mean, didn't we? We had to really like what we saw. The offense clicked. He hit receivers that early on weren't open, and then he went through his progression and had to come back to some receivers. He's not always just hitting that check down, and he's not always just taking off, which is something that we like to see.
Yeah,
or I like to see.
So, rankings. We move up to 8 in both polls. What do you think about that?
So we move up one
move
spot.
Up one. Yeah.
And Ohio State, they dropped under us.
Ohio State dropped to 11 in the AP and 9 in the coaches poll.
That really surprises me.
The coaches kept them above UCF, Central Florida.
Yeah, well, UCF shouldn't even be in there.
Yeah, I mean, and I think the AP, I kind of thought they would drop to 9. They were going to drop them right behind us. That's how there was just no way they could leave them in front, because, folks, if you did not watch that game, Purdue put an ass kicking on.
Purdue looked so good. I feel like that's how we make some teams look sometimes, because they look like world beaters. Like,
I mean, and it was a really good game, and then kind of towards the end, to me, and especially that last 2 minutes, that was the worst I've seen a team. Because they were beat. Okay, Ohio State was beat.
they just all but gave up.
And it was did you see that kickoff? That bounce, and the guy just kind of
didn't even pick it up.
Yeah, he started to walk off.
I wanted them to get that too and run that in.
Yeah.
I'm not lying. I was like, come on.
And how he got that football out of the end zone
I'll never know.
For the safety, but they just got dominated.
I loved it.
Yeah, and I figured they would drop them, like I said, right behind us, but I would not have had a problem with them dropping them to 15 because they got beat by an unranked Purdue. Yeah, they were at home. Purdue lost their first 3 games and won 3 games in a row. So,
yeah, but they lost to. I mean, it's not like they lost to USC or even like a Cal.
Right.
They lost to like Furman or something. I mean, come on.
Yeah. So, but that was the big upset. Okay, so let's look at Alabama.
Wait, are they done? Is Ohio State done? Have they got any shot to make it back in?
No, they're not going to jump anybody.
They're not jumping anybody.
They're not jumping anybody.
They don't have a schedule to do it.
No, they got if they beat Michigan, they might be back in the top, but they're not going to. We need them to beat Michigan because that's what we're going to talk about is what needs to happen ahead of us.
Yeah, yeah. We still got our destiny is not in our own hands. Still,
no. Let's see. Alabama throttled Tennessee, so the shocker. Did you hear what Tennessee's coach said, Rob? They go, they ask him what they needed to do, and he goes, "Well, first off, we need to get another recruiting class in here."
Oh, yep,
basically,
did hear that? Yeah, we're not stopping them unless we get another. Yeah.
Let's see here. Yeah, 58-21 over Tennessee. Purdue beat Ohio State 49-20.
And hey, Tua Tagovailoa Tugboatomania.
Yeah,
he didn't play the fourth quarter at all.
Again, I don't think he's played a fourth quarter this year.
That's ridiculous.
Let's see. Clemson put a beat down on NC State, which that kind of shocked me. I kind of thought that might be a little bit better game, but
why? NC State is bad year after year after year just because they haven't played anybody and they're undefeated. It's like Oklahoma State when they go undefeated. It's ridiculous.
I'm sorry, Rob. God,
they're not any good.
Well, I also don't think Clemson's as good as they have been. So that was my point. But they got beat. Clemson won 41-17. LSU 19-3 over Mississippi State. Michigan 21-7 over Michigan State. UCF nobody cares about. Washington, that game ended up being closer than what it should have been.
Yeah.
They were just whooping up on Oregon, but 34-20 over Oregon.
Oregon came back a little bit.
Yeah.
Which, did you see their uniforms? I really like those chrome helmets. I'm not gonna lie, but that's my favorite color.
Yeah, chrome,
silver,
okay.
Chrome, whatever. Yeah, it's my favorite color, and I just thought those looked really good. And I like Washington State's too. So.
Yeah. Kentucky beat Vanderbilt 14-7.
So somebody's going to get to play them in a bowl.
Yeah.
And you understand that Central Florida, is that who undefeated and ranked 10th or whatever?
Yep.
They're going to probably go undefeated, and they're going to get a big boy in a bowl.
Oh, yeah. Well, they did last year and thumped Auburn.
They sure did. I was just getting ready to say, and it's going to be bad for them.
Yeah. But I don't think they're as good as they were last year, though.
Yeah, they beat Auburn up pretty bad.
Yeah.
Too.
But, of course, never mind. I'm not even going to talk about BYU. Penn State 33-28 over Indiana. Did you watch any of that game?
A little bit.
Holy crap. It looked like it was 10 degrees and the wind was blowing like 800 miles an hour. That looked like the most miserable game ever.
So Penn State is still not that good.
Yeah, but we need Penn State to step up a little bit here.
To beat Michigan.
Yeah, let's look at that top. Let's look at the top 10 and see what we got to do.
I mean, Michigan's defense is really good because they held them to like nothing. Michigan State for a while.
Yeah,
but they also just didn't score that much, and Michigan State's not that good,
Right.
So,
well, let's see. Alabama is not going to go anywhere.
oh no,
they're not going to lose. I don't think.
even if they do, they're still in.
Yeah. Well, if Alabama loses, it's bad for the playoffs because Alabama is going to get in, and then they're going to put the SEC champion in.
Yep.
So
just like last year.
Because you got to remember, Alabama, if they lose, will not play in the SEC conference championship game.
That's right.
So Clemson, I don't know who Clemson's got left, but I don't think they're going to lose. I don't
see it happening.
Notre Dame, they're not going to lose. They could stumble and lose.
They're not that good. USC could bite them.
Yeah, USC, Stanford. That's all they got left, really.
That's it. Yeah, Stanford and USC.
So one of those teams, that happens, that opens the door really wide.
Yeah.
Because here's the thing. LSU is out. You can go ahead and mark them off.
Are you sure?
Alabama's going to beat them in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So they're out.
That happens, you're right.
Yeah, they're done. Okay. Mm-hmm. LSU is out. Michigan is number 5. I'm trying to think who they got left. They have Penn State, I believe. I looked at their schedule earlier. And they have Ohio State. So we need somebody to beat Michigan. So Michigan's got to stumble again, and which I think they will. Their offense is terrible.
If they played anybody that could play offense at all,
right,
they probably would lose.
And I don't think that's Ohio State because it was obvious Ohio State forgot how to play offense yesterday.
Yeah, I think that young quarterback that Ohio State has, I think he's pretty good, but he's just young. It's gonna take a little while for him to get up to speed. He throws a good deep pass though.
Yeah, Texas needs to continue to win. Again, Sooner fans, we're not condoning the rooting of Texas.
Right.
We're condoning the there's a difference there's a difference in rooting for them and needing them to win. So they need to win. Yeah. So Georgia is out because they're going to lose again. Because they're going to end up having to play Alabama, and nobody's going to beat Alabama. Okay? So we will jump all those teams. So what we need to happen where we're going to get into the number 4 spot is we need somebody to beat Michigan. And we have to win convincingly. And when we say, at least me, I shouldn't speak for you, Rob, whether you should agree with me or not, but I think you should. We have to win games like we won this week. We have to win 45-20 this week against Kansas State.
Well, you know what? I honestly think, Terry, that offensively, we're going to put up points.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to do it on anybody. Even Texas, we're going to put up points on them. And if the defense just starts getting better and better and better, then that's going to happen.
Right. Yep. So I'm not. What concerns me is obviously we got to win out at number 8. We need to win out. Georgia's going to get knocked off in the SEC. LSU is going to get knocked off in 2 weeks. And guys, this needs to happen because if it doesn't, 2 SEC teams are going to get in.
That's right.
Michigan and Texas is what's hurting us. And
we can take care of one.
I could tell you that I could see us jumping Michigan is if we get into the Big 12 championship game and beat Texas, 45-10.
Yeah.
They could go, holy crap, they fixed their problems. This is the number 4 team. I could see that happening.
It's going to help that Kyler's going to be one of 2 guys vying for that trophy.
And I like what you said last week about that is that committee and those people that bring in the money are going to go, we want to see the 2 top Heisman candidates face off.
Right.
Because
that would go to our benefit if that would definitely be the case. And I'm pretty sure it will be. So
yeah, and which that would mean we would be playing Alabama in the Orange Bowl in the semifinals.
At least we're there.
Yeah.
I know a lot of fans are like, well, I don't want to make the playoff because I don't want to get embarrassed. And you know what?
We've only been
embarrassed. I want to make it.
We've only been embarrassed in the playoffs one time. And I really, and I don't think that was an embarrassment. When we got beat by Clemson in the Orange Bowl, I felt like that was a good game. We were still young.
The beatdown we took at the hands of USC was horrible.
Well, that was years ago. I'm talking about that wasn't playoffs. That was a national championship game. But last year's loss in the Rose Bowl was not a beatdown. If you want to say it was embarrassing, it's just the fact that we couldn't stop them, and they couldn't stop us.
Yeah.
So, we've been, us, Clemson, and Alabama have been the only commons. We're the only ones with multiple appearances.
Yeah.
And it needs to continue that way.
Oh, yeah. So yeah.
We need to be there.
Even if we think we're going to get drummed by Alabama, I still want to be there.
Yeah.
Because you know what? Those 4 teams, they get a lot of pub.
Yeah.
They get a lot of pub. They get to practice longer into the off season. They get to,
right.
They get to just do a lot more stuff. So I want to be one of those 4 teams, even if we're going to get, smoked.
And I put this offense against anybody's defense in the country, including Alabama's. What concerns me is their offense. And I think if we get into the semifinals and we go to the Orange Bowl with Alabama, that game may be 85-84 at the end of it.
It may be, but you know what? Anything can happen. You got to play the game.
Yeah, you got to play the game.
If we just got in there and we got a couple of turnovers,
Yeah.
I mean, honestly.
Talatula Albagula throws an interception, or
even if it's just, even if
gets turf toe,
events happen like happened to us.
Yeah.
You get an accidental tip at the line and our linebacker, whatever.
Yeah.
That's why we play the game. So if we could do that, if we could go up on them 14 points, they're not running us down.
Right.
Yeah,
they're not. Yeah.
I don't think they would anyway. I'd be surprised if anybody runs us down with a 14-point lead. I'd be really surprised.
That would shock me. Yeah. When you look at what we did at Texas, and the Cotton Bowl, 21 points in 4 minutes.
Right.
I mean,
if we just play a modicum of defense, it's the same thing we were seeing in the Rose Bowl last year. If we just play a little defense,
a little bit of defense,
come on, Sooners.
And so, and another reason why I'm only giving a C plus to a B minus on this is that this is what we did to TCU last year. It's the exact same thing.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
so. Yeah, would Mike be in there? Would they have played worse? I don't know. I mean, we'll never know that. But next week's game this week's game against Kansas State, that will, I might pull the Kool-Aid back out of it, because remember what K-State has done to us the last 3 years is that damn quarterback dive.
Yeah,
that power run right at us. If we can start stopping that. I think they scored. I don't remember what the score was last year, but they scored up in the 30s against us. If we keep them down in the teens, then yeah, I'm gonna start seeing more. And then we got, is it Tech after that? I believe it is.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah. So I don't know, but. I like where we're setting, but we're not going to move up unless we get some convincing wins. And of course, there's teams going to lose on top of us. A team. Well, yeah, Georgia.
At least one of them.
Georgia and LSU is going to lose. Okay, they're going to lose, and then we need Michigan or Notre Dame to lose a game, because if they lose a game, we're in. We're in. We went out. We're in.
So either one of them loses a game, which, may or may not happen. I don't know.
Yeah. But, I mean, a lot of I was listening to this stuff, watching stuff this morning. Most people think Texas is going to not even going to get to the Big 12 championship game.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I think we're going to be in West Virginia or Iowa State.
West Virginia or Iowa State. It's not time. Texas, yeah, they beat Oklahoma, but they're just not,
Well, Ellinger, is he back or is he still hurt?
I don't know. Why would you ask me that question, Rob?
Erlenher.
So, but anyway, like I said, there's a chance. We need Texas, but even so, if Texas loses, we're going to move up before the Big 12 championship game.
Mm-hmm. Our strength of schedule keeps waning, though.
Yeah. And then, we beat Virginia or West Virginia. That's going to put us in a 3-way tie. If us, West Virginia, and Texas have a loss, and I believe
they go by rank.
They go by rank, and we're in.
We're
in the Big 12 championship game, playing probably either West Virginia or Texas.
It's unfortunate that one loss can take our destiny out of our own hands, but that's exactly what's happened.
Yeah, I mean, shouldn't have lost that game. We'll be sitting here at number 4 right now, maybe number 3. Yeah, we'd be at number 3.
If we could just play some defense.
A lot of defense.
A lot of defense.
So,
well, you know what else I liked? I liked they got off the field. I liked they weren't on the field. Seemed like all day.
Yeah.
Against some of them teams, we were on the field just all day. Our defense just wore smooth out. I feel like the offense played they were on the field longer than the defense.
Oh yeah, they did. I love that. Caleb was throwing a fit because we were running the ball so much, and it was like, throw the damn ball, throw the ball. It's like they don't need to. They're just driving these guys.
Well, we were a little bit predictable there.
Yeah.
For a little while, and I kind of agreed with Caleb. They know exactly what you're going to do. You might want to, just change it up some. When you got the most dynamic offense in the nation, you don't want to be predictable.
Yeah.
So,
but so we got K-State coming up this week. And let's see, Alabama's off. All the Big 12 is back in action. Tech thumped Kansas, so we don't really have much to talk about with the Big 12. So,
did Oklahoma State lose again in their bye week?
Yeah, it was in their bye week. Yeah.
Oh man. Yeah. What would really be bad is if they're so bad, and what if they accidentally, because they're bogus. They may not make a bowl.
Yeah.
So when we come to town, they're coming here.
And
I guess, but
the game next week that Herb Street's calling and stuff is Texas, Oklahoma State.
Texas, Oklahoma State.
Which it'll probably be watch Oklahoma State beat Texas.
It wouldn't surprise me at all
because it's in Stillwater.
Yeah,
but I don't think Oklahoma State may not win another game this year. So
it may not.
But anyway, well, guys, do a little bit of promo here real quick. Number one is whatever you're listening to us on. And if you have an iPhone or an iPad, make sure and subscribe to us on iTunes. That way, when you subscribe, it gives you an alert every time one drops out. One of our podcasts drops out, you'll get an alert. You'll be able to listen to it. Google Play Music, same thing. Follow us on Google Play Music. It'll alert you when a new podcast is out. Spotify, exact same thing. Follow us on Spotify. They'll let you know when a new podcast drops. I'm not sure how SoundCloud does it, but you can do it on SoundCloud. Or like what a lot of you guys do is listening to us on our podcast page, which you can do that from your cell phone. It just downloads it to your media player. It doesn't take up space on your phone. And you can do that on Facebook. You can do it on Twitter. Listen to it from any device, and it goes straight from our podcast
and YouTube.
Page. And YouTube. You guys listening to us or watching us on YouTube, we are working on some ideas for some videos separate from our podcast. But you can go listen if you're at work. And we
can get my pretty face on there.
Yeah. Okay. We can. One of the things that we're, I know that a lot of people's like me, that a lot of your media devices are blocked, or like your computer stuff is blocked because of work, Facebook and podcast pages and stuff. But a lot of YouTube stuff isn't. So you can go listen to us on YouTube during the day. But we are working on some YouTube video ideas. So if you want to drop us some ideas, that's fine too.
Absolutely.
So do all that. Follow us on Twitter. Like our Facebook page. It's kind of crazy. We kind of thought that the season it would pick up, but we're really growing in downloads and listens and followers on all that stuff. So we appreciate it. We're just fans, just like you guys. And we like doing this.
I may be a little bigger than them, but
well,
or heavier. I guess I should say heavier.
Heavier,
yeah.
But this.
Well, otherwise, it's just the same.
Yeah, we're just the same. This is stuff we like to do. We're just fans. and we try to give the fans a perspective, and you know, we're not right about everything, but we're
sure about that?
But we're right about most. So,
all right, I guess I can take that.
But you know, and I'm saying this because we picked up a lot of new listeners. You know, people that have started downloading and listening again. You know, just you know, we're just fans, just like you guys. We're passionate fans, just like every fan is. These are our opinions and thoughts. Always welcome your comments on Facebook and Twitter. And, you know, as the season, when we get, you know, we do have fans that come on with us. It's really hard to do that. Some fans have asked us, you know, hey, you haven't had any fans on in a while. Well, it's really hard to do that during the season with people's schedules, our schedules. That's the whole thing is, you know, we want to talk about stuff that's relevant, and we want fans on, and we're going to do that because that's what we are as a fan podcast. But during the season, it's just really so hard to do it.
This is how much of a fan I am, Terry. I could wear a different OU garment every day of the week.
Oh, I could too.
Or probably month and still have.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, since you wore all red, that streak's still in.
Oh, boy. I don't know how that's going to work out.
Rob come walking in going, hey, just so you know, I wore all red. We have never lost when I wear all red.
Well, but in my defense, I never wore all red.
Well, you started something new.
Oh, boy. But, I should have knew you were going to do that.
But you're seeing that's what's funny, Rob, is as much as a fan as you are, you're in the minority in that, because I guarantee you we could get people on here and they would tell you that they do the same thing every day.
Somebody was saying on Twitter's, you know, they forgot to wear the hat, or they wore the wrong hat, so they would change. I'm like, you realize that had absolutely
you don't know that. You do not. You have no proof of that, Rob.
Come on.
You have zero proof of it. So, but anyway, you know, this is the type of stuff that we like to talk about, and when we talk about with fans, when we get them on. But again, tomorrow I'm still checking with the Big 12. The Big 12 on Twitter, guys. We're supposed to have a K-State podcaster on with us tomorrow night. Which is a fan. That's one of the things we've done. We haven't done it in the last couple of weeks because they keep having issues. You know, the other podcasters do, which is fine. But tomorrow we're going to be doing our K-State pregame, and then we'll have not pregame, our K-State breakdown of what we think is going to happen and what needs to happen. We'll have the K-State podcasters on. Hopefully,
we do that right now. What needs to happen is we got to win.
Yeah, we got to score more points than they do. So I just wish that someday somebody would say that. You know, when they go, keys to win, score more points. You know, like watching NFL Morning or something like that. I predict the team that will win was the team that scores more points.
Well, the reporter just back up and go, ass.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the podcast for today. Again, go download it. Check us out tomorrow. We'll talk to you tomorrow. Boomer Rob.
Boomer Terry.
Thanks for listening to the Sooner Football Fans Podcast. Hit the subscribe button right now on whatever app you're listening to download every episode as they come out. Check us out on Twitter and Facebook and on YouTube. Boomer Sooner.